Hey everybody, for those of you that don't know, my name's Hoopy. Today we're going to be working on the Thump Star. For those of you that don't know, this here's my Thump Star 212 pit bike, and I've converted it to be street legal, and we've got something else going on this thing. And I picked up one of these $20 Chinese instrument clusters. It's got a tachometer, speedometer, it's supposed to do all kinds of different stuff. Because currently on the bike, I use my phone with GPS, with a GPS speedometer app, and it does okay, but it's not great. Also, I'm hoping to wire in an ignition switch, because if anybody knows anything about these Thump Star bikes, they don't come with ignitions. As far as the instructions that this little speedometer came with, these Chinglish directions, it's pretty rough, but I think we can figure it out here. So I got this little station of stuff here, and I did find a video, and there was some guy on there that did not speak English, but he did have, he did decipher out for me as to the power and ground on this, because it doesn't say power and ground. Anyhow, the ground is the green wire, and what does it say under green? Green says, I can't even read it. Something body, and for the power, it is black, and it says anode. Don't know what the hell that means. And let's see. So there's our interface. It turns on. High beam's blue. What other one here? Turn signal indicators are light blue and orange, and neutral is green, red. Neutral is ground though, and all these other ones are positive to power them. One thing I don't care for is that it doesn't matter which turn signal you hook up, even though it says left and right, both those arrows light up. But it is what it is. At least I'll be able to see that I left the turn signal on. So, you know, it'll work. So for me, first things first, for starters, on this particular bike, I don't know why they did it, but if you look right in here, there's a little hole right there. And inside that little hole, there's a green wire that they clipped off flush. And what that is your neutral indicator light. So I've got to pull this side cover, get to that wire, and rerun a wire out of it so that I'll be able to run it up and hook it to this cluster. So I popped this cover off here and pulled this wire out. It had this little protective thing and this grommet around it. I'm just going to clip this off. I'm going to solder another wire to it, put her all back together. Then I'll have my wire I can run up for my neutral switch. You're probably not going to have to do this on your bike unless you're working on a Thump Star. Well, there's my neutral wire all fixed up, so I'll have it. I'm going to go ahead and route it up to the front here, and we'll move on to the rest of this stuff. So next up, I need to run one more wire up here for what I'm doing, and that's for my tachometer. So what you're going to have to do is find a positive wire to your coil, and you have to start the bike to figure that out, and I just used a test light, and this yellow and black one here is the positive for mine. I'm going to do it on this side of it so that it stays hooked up. And if I ever have to change a coil, I just unplug it and put a new coil on it. But I've got to splice into this wire here and run one up to the front as well for a signal. All right, I'm hooked in. Got my wire spliced in there and all shrink wrapped back up, ran up. Got her brought out here with the neutral wire. So we'll be ready to start wiring stuff up here. So I'm working on wiring this ignition up. You guys may or may not care, and I'm probably not even going to tell you, just in case somebody ever tries to steal one of these bikes. They're really going to have to work for it. But then again, an ignition switch only keeps an honest person out, to be honest. The only way to really stop a thief is with hot lead. So, yeah, that's my take on things. All right, this mess here don't look like much, but we've got power to the head unit. There's ground for it. There's the high beam signal, left turn signal, right turn signal, and the neutral light, and this one here is for the tachometer. And I can click my ignition to the on position. The kill switch up here still works, or this way I can take the key out and you can't take my bike. Well, you can take my bike, but you ain't gonna start it unless you figure out all my wiring. So now that I've got all my wires that I want ran up here, let's move over here to the head unit here. So on this head unit, it came with the speed sensor. And the way I'm gonna hook this up is I'm gonna go to the front wheel, because if I went to the rear, I would have to cut this wire and extend it in order to get from there clear back to there. But considering the head unit's right here on the handlebars, I can put that speed sensor down here on the front wheel and we're there already. So because I don't have any of these little Chinese plugs, I had to cut this one off. And out of the 9 on this, there's only 2 that I'm not utilizing, and that's the check engine and the fuel level. So the rest of them will be utilized. What I do have though is my own cheap weather pack kit. So I will be utilizing these. Oh, here's what we got so far. Turn the key on, she comes on, neutral light's on. It's, well, it says 8 and 16 volts and we're right dead in the middle, so whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. And then, well, we got RPMs. I don't know if they're right. I mean, that seems probably, that's a little high. We're idling at 2 grand. We'll have to set that up. I would assume that that's too high. That's what I got so far. It's dark. I'm going to the house. I'll be back on this tomorrow. So where I left off yesterday, as we know, I already had most of this stuff working. So let's see here. I forget what else I had left. The high beam. What do I got going on here? Why is my turn signal halfway lit up? I don't like that. So I had this figured out here. And on that paper, it says that this orange wire is the left turn signal, but it is not. It is this light blue with a white stripe on it. So, yeah. Anyhow, it should be all hunky-dory now. Let's see here. Things on. There we go. Left turn signal. Right turn signal. Again, I don't like how both the arrows flash, but at least it's an indicator of some kind. And, you know, we still got high beams and all that good stuff. So we're good to go there. So I'm not going to recommend you do this, but what I'm doing, I took this thing apart, and you can unplug these wires. I'm going to pull them out of here. And all the ones that I clipped off that I'm not going to use, like the 1 through 6 gears, the fuel gauge and all that, I'm going to clip them off up here nice and clean so that there's no way that anything can get to them and short them out. Probably liquid electrical tape them, and I'll put this thing all back together, and that'll free up some space down in here. That there's more better. We got all those loose wires that we ain't going to use out of the way. Got our 3 little plugs that 2 of them we made. The one's still the factory for the speed sensor. So that's a lot cleaner now. Next up, we're going to work on mounting this proximity switch, which is our speed sensor in theory. And it comes with these 2 little magnets. There's 2 of them in here. We've got to drill a hole in our rotor, which on these front rotors there ain't much there, but there's about the biggest spot. And we'll sink these in there, and they got a little clip you put on the back. But anyhow, there's 2 of them. You got to do 1 on each side, and as this spins around this proximity switch, it will count it and tell it how fast we're going. I'm thinking to mount the switch right in here somewhere, and in this way I can run the wire up with my brake cable, and it'll go right up to the cluster. The trick is, and we have to, yeah, we'll have plenty of room on this front caliper. We have to mount it to where this magnet, whenever it's in here, it's not going to be up here where the brake pads hit. It's got to be down in here so that it can spin freely past this. So I'm going to work on building me a bracket so we can mount this down here. And then we'll fix the rotor and drill some holes in it. So I had a piece of aluminum laying around, and I went ahead and drilled this out and I kind of eyeballed the size, and then I drilled it out here. And it fits this proximity switch pretty good here. My bracket slid into place. And yeah, that's going to work just fine, I think. Probably something like that right there. So we'll get the two nuts tightened down onto this sensor, and then we'll be able to take a marker and mark out on this rotor where we need to drill. Well, the easy part of the speedometer is done, so I'm gonna get these rotors marked out and we'll get this off here and get them drilled. So I got the front wheel off, laid up here. If you see where I put this mark around here the whole way, this is on the outside of that proximity switch. So I need my hole, the outside edge of the hole, to be right at the edge of that line. Luckily for me on this brake rotor, these are even, so I just gotta put one here and here, and they'll be directly across from each other. It should work out good. So I'm gonna go ahead and center punch these and try to drill it. I don't know how well these rotors are gonna drill, but we'll get her one way or another. That one's in there. All right, there they are. They kind of look like 9mm caps on the back there. Let's see here. So there's what it looks like sticking through the other side. Just enough to put a little E-clip on to hold it on there. Here's the little E-clips that come with. You just gotta knock them on each one of them. We got it in there and everything clears. So let's run the wire up and just plug it in and make sure it's actually gonna read and I don't have to adjust that sensor in or out. Moment of truth. Key on. Well, that ain't good. I ain't reading nothing. So I'm gonna try to adjust that sensor in just a little bit and see if it picks anything else up. I think we're in there where we need to be. I'm actually kind of hitting it a little bit with the one right here, this one. I don't know. I'm wondering if maybe if I was to take those magnets that they gave me out and put a good Neo magnet in there, something that would really pull, if I could probably move this sensor back then. So what I had figured out is if you look at my holes here, see that one's touching the line? See this one's about a 1/16 of an inch below it? That amount, that teensy little bit right there is enough that it will pick one sensor up and not the other, or pick one magnet up and not the other. So, and these teensy little magnets that are in here, they are not very strong at all either. So what I've come to the conclusion to come up with, I have a bunch of these little Neo magnets for mounting RC car bodies. So I just need to waller this hole out just a teensy bit more, and that'll fit in there, and it's going to mount in there flush. And I'm just going to JB weld it on the back side, and that ought to stay flush with the rotor. And I think it's going to work good. We'll find out. I got them things laid in there, and they are just pretty much completely flush. This one here is, and this one here is just got enough that you might be able to catch it with your fingernail sticking up. And I drilled those holes out to where those magnets fit down in there, and I had to take a stick and use it as a punch and tap it in there so this way they fit good and tight. And I couldn't use a metal punch because it kept pulling the magnet back out, or it wouldn't let it even stick down in there. So I did this, and now I'm gonna take and turn this over on this piece of wood so they don't stick to nothing. And I'm going to fill those holes in the back of this with JB weld. Down in here and down in here. And we'll see how it works out. So I keep a whole little variety of these magnets on hand because you never know when you're going to need them. But let me show you something cool with these. So I have a spare little magnet here, and this is JB weld mixed up. Check this out. This is what these magnets just did to this and this rotor. Let's see if I can. So the JB weld itself is actually magnetic. Or the steel hardener in it is anyhow. So those magnets just pulled the JB weld right down into where they needed to go. And they're going to set up nice and flush. And I think that's going to work out just perfect. It's next day, and the garage is still a mess from last night working on this thing. But check this out. The JB weld dried down in there. And that stuff just leveled out nice and flush down in these holes. Looks great. The magnets right there, look at that. Flush. This is gonna work. I have a good feeling about this. Let's get her slapped back on here. So I just put the tire on here and I realized that I left the key on this thing all night. I don't know how dead the battery's gonna be, but the little LCD screen there, it was still lit up. If I can quit screwing this up, let's turn the key on here. Since I left it on all night, I had to turn it off. Now I turn it back on. And there's a magnet. We got a red light. That's what we want. Let's see, let's find the other one. Red light. Perfect. It's gonna work. Let's see. All right. And it's working. All right. Well, we got that figured out. Speedometer is going to work. Now let's set the screen up. So our Chinglish directions that we had on that paper there, they weren't very good about this kind of stuff. So I hopped on eBay and I found these instructions. And it tells you what to do to enter the service mode or whatever to set this thing up. So we're going to run through this here real quick. And something important to note, you need to know the diameter of your tire in millimeters. So I already Googled that as to what the front tire on this thing is, like a 60 by 100 by 14, I think. And it comes out to right at 1600 millimeters. It's 1599. I'm just going to do 1600. Press and hold this button in. Turn your key on. Okay. SE. I don't know what the hell that means. Oh, there's how I changed it to MPH. Well, it's lit up. Just click it. Hold it in. I think I got everything set up. I don't know. If you kind of watched me whenever you hold this, the 1P, I think that means for pistons. So I put it on 1, clearly because it's 1. Because it went to 4, I don't know. I don't remember. Then the circumference of the tire, I put in 1600. Fuel, I care less about. I don't have that in there. That's probably about right on the RPM. The other night, because this thing was on 2 pistons, it was off. So I'm going to hurry up and build me a bracket to mount this on and put my key in as well, right here. So probably not going to make you guys watch me do that because this is a video about the speedometer. But I'll be right back to this. I doubt anyone will care, but this here's the bracket that I come up with. And this big hole over here is where the key is going to go in. And this just simply, if I can get it to do this one-handed here. This just slides in. It's going to clamp into the bar clamp here. The screen mounts down through here, key over here. Like I said, I'm going to put these bolts in it, slam her back down on there. She's all finished up, cleaned back up. Everything's nice and tidy. here's the Thumpstar 212 pit bike that's fully street legal. So, yeah, everything's good and clean. Ran clean. There we are, neutral. Miles per hour, RPMs, 0 on the odometer so far. Idling. Let's take it for a test ride. Well, as for right now, I don't think this speedometer is completely correct because it says I'm going 16 miles an hour and I'm probably going about 6 miles an hour. So we got to figure out what we need to do to adjust that. So yeah, we'll go back and try that out. That's more realistic. I adjusted the tire diameter down to 1599, and then I put the thing that said E on it, I put it to number 2 because that's where it was factory. So I'm assuming that means the sensors. And yeah, we're 7 miles an hour. That seems legit right here. So yeah, I think we got her dialed in, and I think this thing's gonna work great, to be honest with you. Driving one-handed in gravel sucks. Yeah, it sounds legit right there. Seems pretty legit. I think it's gonna work out good. Something I wanted to note that I did personally on my bike, I re-geared it because factory, it had a 15-tooth front and a 43-tooth rear sprocket, and maxed out was like in 5th gear, wide open rev limiter, might be 50. I bumped it clear up to a 17-tooth front and went down to a 39-tooth rear, and that was a game changer because now I can cruise out the ridge 45, 50 miles an hour, half throttle, 5th gear, and it does great. And if I need to crank on it, I can get it up to 60, 65. But yeah, that was a major must-have for this thing. This thing has well over enough power to handle that. So, but hey, there you guys go. There was putting a speedometer on a dirt bike, pit bike, whatever you want. Cheap $20 Chinese speedometer. I think it's going to work out great. It's going to do everything I need it to. So if you guys like videos like this, go check out the rest of my channel. Thanks for watching.